Hey everybody, it's Dean Zierfost speaking to you from my basement. Today's topic is character and fitness, also known as conduct, also known as misconduct. Basically, naughtiness from your past that you need to talk about in your law school application in response to specific questions that all law schools ask. I'll be talking about the kinds of criminal stuff that gets asked about. It may be actually, a municipal violation, or it may be a school violation. It doesn't really matter to the admissions office what body is disciplining you. The point is the nature of the conduct. So I am not going to be talking about academic misconduct like cheating or plagiarism. That's a whole different set of considerations, although some of what I'm saying here today is probably relevant to talking about that kind of misconduct. But I will be concentrating on improprieties involving largely criminal types of activity. Okay, so my first, and I would say critical piece of advice is read carefully what each school is asking you and answer only what the school is asking you about. Example, some schools ask about traffic convictions, some schools do not. Michigan explicitly says we do not care about minor traffic violations. And yet some schools ask about them. And so every year I get misconduct explanations that talk about someone's, 10 speeding tickets over the course of 6 months. And I try really hard not to think about that. Like, I've already decided that is not relevant information. I have not asked about it. And yet you tell me, and it's really hard for me to stop wondering, what is the deal with your need for speed? Like, what's going on there? So help me out and just don't tell me in the first place. Other things that sometimes get asked about, but not always. Arrests. Again, Michigan doesn't ask about that, but lots of schools do. Some schools ask about military discharge. Most schools will ask or will want to hear about even expunged convictions. Some schools might explicitly tell you you don't need to include those. If they don't explicitly say that, you definitely should include them anyway. So why are they all such different types of questions? Why aren't they all asking just one question? It's because many schools are parroting what the state bar asks for. Lots of institutions send the vast majority of their graduates to one particular state. When you apply for the bar, you're going to have to answer very similar types of questions. So to make it easy, schools ask the same questions that the state will later be asking you when you are applying for the bar. So you have to get the answers the same if you are applying for that bar. That's why it's really important to get it right at the application stage. All right. Now, I know people really worry about having to answer these questions. Let me just assure you at the outset that the vast majority of what people have to explain is not the kind of conduct that is really going to give any admissions officer serious pause. You're going to be able to sail through as long as you handle it well. Some incidents are going to be more difficult. Different schools will have different processes in place for a more serious kind of conduct, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But they may send it to a committee. They may seek review from some other body outside the law school. But even then, if you handle it the way I'm advising, you're going to be putting yourself in a very good position to overcome it and get admission to law school. Okay. So the second big piece of advice I have for you is, in all cases, you need to be transparent and straightforward about what occurred. You need to take responsibility, and you need to not be defensive. This shouldn't be a long explanation. It's not an essay. It's just answering the underlying facts about the question you had to check a yes to in your application. Every sentence needs to count, and you need to get to the point. So, what happened? There should be no hedging. Stay away from passive voice. So don't say, people were at a party and alcohol was consumed. Say, I drank a beer. Don't, be real clever or cute. Like, a lot of times people will use the word alleged in their explanation in a way that is baffling to me. Like, did it happen or did it not happen? What exactly are you trying to tell me here? So the alleged red Solo cup was handed allegedly to me by my alleged friend on the alleged front lawn. This is not helping your case. Just by the time I'm done reading it, bottom line, I should have a very clear scenario in my head of what occurred. Okay. Now, I will also say, I said something about taking responsibility. If you were writing about an arrest for a school that is asked about arrests, you don't have to take responsibility in the way you do if you're talking about a conviction. There are many miles of distance between being charged with something and being convicted of something. P.S. That's why I don't think schools should ask about arrests. If you end up at one of those schools and you're in a state where they ask about it on the bar, maybe that's your first big pro bono move to challenge that. I think it's a problem in any school to ask about arrests, but particularly in the law school setting where we understand the problems with the process there. Okay. Anyway, so if you're talking about a conviction or a guilty plea, this explanation is not the place to argue about the facts. If you feel you need to do that, if you feel that it is critical to a school's understanding you as a candidate to talk about this incident in great detail and say where you think the facts are in dispute, try and find another way to do that. Maybe in an optional essay, if necessary, in your personal statement, but not here. This, again, should be short and to the point. Okay. Finally, when you're taking responsibility for something, you don't have to be over the top. Often I will read people saying, this was the worst mistake of my life. I regret it every night when I go to bed and every morning when I wake up, and I don't know how I'm ever going to get over it. And it's like they threw trash on the front lawn. Have some perspective. I mean, there are certainly misconduct incidents where someone was harmed that are more serious, and your tone there should be correspondingly more serious. But, you don't need to be too dramatic in the taking of responsibility. It should be, again, just straightforward. Now, I mentioned that some incidents are going to be easy to get past. Let's talk about those. Most of those are what I think of as college lifestyle choices. So minor in possession, fake ID, noise ordinance violations. That's a big one, I think, in Ann Arbor. Possession of marijuana, one that comes up a lot that is embarrassing and gross, but certainly not, fatal, public urination. Another category that it's easy to get past is civil disobedience. Say you're arrested at a protest. This is, you still have to talk about it, but this is not something that should be of grave concern to you. If this is what's on your record, deal with it in the way that I have suggested, and you're just not going to have a problem with regard to that incident. Now, some, of course, conduct is going to be more concerning. So if you have a pattern of convictions, like say you have 5 alcohol convictions in a short period, that's going to be concerning because it's going to look like maybe this is an ongoing problem. This isn't something from your past that you have learned from. This is something that you are currently dealing with. You're going to have to figure out a way to address that. If it is a crime of violence, law schools are small, intimate communities. People are going to be concerned about that. Again, it's not fatal, but you have to figure out a way to address the concerns that are definitely going to be swirling around in the minds of decision makers. So put yourself in their shoes. Figure out what is it that you need to say to make clear that this will not be a problem if you are admitted. Probably the most serious kind of conduct that you can have in your past, and honestly, I do not recall ever reading an explanation like this, but what would give me the gravest pause would be if you have a crime of abuse of position of trust. So say you're a CPA who embezzled from your clients. That's going to be hard to look past as an admissions office because that is a very similar conduct to what you could engage in as a lawyer. So if that's your scenario, you're probably going to need to talk to an individual coach to really help you with that, like maybe a pre-law advisor or something. But, if you pull back and you think about it from the reader's point of view, and you are straightforward, you should still be fine. Now, my advice today is concentrated on how to get admitted to law school when you have this in your past. Maybe you're worried about actually getting admitted to the bar. If that's the case, you should know that you can call state bars and talk to them about your concern. Now, they're probably unlikely to say, no worries, you'll be fine, because lawyers don't do that. But they will give you straightforward feedback if they think this is a problem. And that will be helpful for you to assess before you go down the road of applying to law school and attending for 3 years. Take that into account. All right, I think that's all I have on that particular subject. And now I want to talk about grammar briefly. I recently stumbled across an old email exchange I had with two friends who are similarly obsessed with grammar as I am. And one was complaining about the use of the phrase as such, like as such is the phrase, to mean therefore. So one of the friends said, like, it's such a terrible problem. Everybody makes this mistake. I just don't think anyone should use the phrase as such. I think that's a little extreme. But let me give you an example of what's correct usage and what's incorrect usage so you can think, am I using this right? So, Dean Zerfuss is the Dean of Admissions at Michigan Law School. As such, she reads many law school applications. That's correct. As such refers to me and then my role. Okay, incorrect. You wrote an unclear and evasive explanation of your past misconduct. As such, I will not admit you to law school. That's not right, because it's not talking about your role as such. It's talking about something you did, and those two things do not fit together. Okay, I don't know if that was very clear, but maybe I've just made you paranoid about using as such. But, a little paranoia never hurt. All right. Would love to hear your feedback and suggestions, and you can put them in the comments below, or you can email us at law.jd.admissions@umich.edu and put vlog in the subject line. Thanks again to Evan Kay for giving us the inspiration for today's episode. If you found this helpful, you might want to check out my admissions blog. There's a link below. And finally, as always, many thanks to Dustin Johnston, without whom this would not be possible. Wherever you go, go blue.